Sorry. Almost minute. Oh, sorry.
Ipsita, 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 am I audible?
শুনি আছো চাইদা।
Okay. Ipsita,
দাদা
Ipsita,
দাদা
আমি start কৰিব পাৰোঁ 6টা বাজিছে যিহেতু।
লাইভটো এবাৰ কৰি লৈছো
Okay,
তাৰপিছত
okay, ঠিক আছে।
ষ্টাৰ্ট
Shall we start?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. With these beautiful words of Margaret Thatcher, I, Ipshita Borwa, and Sabina Yasmin welcomes all of you to our webinar on feminism and women empowerment. Today, we have Dr. Anindita Dey, Associate Professor of Department of English of Debra Joy College as our resource person. We're extremely overwhelmed by your presence and hope your knowledge will enlighten us in this topic. Ma'am. Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Anindita ma'am is there?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much. Thank you, Equinox, for giving me the opportunity to speak on a topic that I love the most.
Yes, ma'am.
Though I'm not an expert in this field, I have not done any research. My area of research is something very different, but as an aware woman of the society, it is one of the loved topics. So I'm really thankful to all of you for bringing me here tonight, this evening. So, without much delay, I would like to go over
Ma'am,
to... Yes.
I think Sabina Ba is there. I just would like to request, like, we want have another resource person, like not a resource person, like another feminism. I think we all believe. Ume ma'am is there, so I would like her to just say a few words, to just start the inauguration the program.
Okay. That's right.
Thank
Hello,
you.
নমস্কাৰ
So-
সকলোলৈকে শুভ সন্ধিয়া মই ইকুইনক্স পৰিয়ালৰ তৰফৰ পৰা সাবিনা আপোনাক সকলোকে এই অনুষ্ঠানটোলৈ স্বাগতম জনাইছো আজি নাৰীবাদ নাৰী সবলীকৰণ এই ৱেবিনাৰখনৰ উদ্বোধনৰ বাবে আমি আমন্ত্ৰণ জনাইছিলো ঐতিহ্যমণ্ডিত দেৱৰাজ ৰয় কলেজৰ পদাৰ্থ বিজ্ঞান বিভাগৰ অধ্যাপিকা ডক্টৰ উমি জামিল মেমক তেখেতৰ ব্যস্ততা সূচীৰ মাজতো আমাক আজি এই সময়খিনি দিয়াৰ বাবে আপোনাক বহুত বহুত ধন্যবাদ মেম আৰু এই ৱেবিনাৰখন উদ্বোধন কৰি ইয়াৰ আদৰণি ভাষণটো আগবঢ়াবৰ বাবে আপোনাক আমি অনুৰোধ কৰিলো
Thank you, Sabina. And good evening. So all the members of the team Equinox, resource person of today's webinar, Dr. Anindita Dey, Associate Professor, Department of English, DR College, and dear participants. It gives me a great pleasure to be present here today and welcome you all. At first, I would like to thank all the young, dynamic, and energetic members of Equinox for their work towards the upliftment of the society. The name Equinox, as we all know that, is an event in which planet's subsolar point passes through its equator. And as a consequence, length of day and night becomes equal. But I found it very interesting, the spiritual meaning. It says the spiritual meaning of the equinox says, equinox is the period of struggle between darkness and light, death and life. And with their work, it is evident that the members of Team Equinox choose the name Equinox for this deep spiritual meaning. I again want to thank you, these young members, for their work. And today's webinar on feminism and women empowerment is a well-chosen topic. Nowadays, it has become very important point of discussion, because feminism at its core is all about equality between man and woman. Like our common perceptions, it is not only related to women, it is a social issue. An independent woman not necessarily be feminist. So it is high time to understand the deep meaning of feminism and how it may be related to women empowerment. So I know, like me, all of you are eagerly waiting for to listen to Dr. Anindita Dey. I know her personally. I do remember we often discuss a lot, say it a lot about this type of topic. And she is not just a great speaker with a depth of knowledge, but also has a very interesting presentation style. And without taking much time, let me welcome you all and declare this webinar to be inaugurated. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Before going further, I would like to give a brief introduction about the Team Equinox. We are a young organization working in a different field. Our organization was founded in 2017 by Vishwajit Pujarida, and Chai Nikita was a co-founder. Along with it, currently we are a team of 22 members, and we are working in the different aspects of the society, which includes the environment, British adaptation, gender literature, and also the women empowerment is one of our society. We believe that women should be empowered and should be known and their own powers and all the rights that they have. So without getting delay, I would like to request Anindita ma'am to start her presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to present a PowerPoint. So let me just share the screen. So is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so as it is obvious, today's topic is feminism and women empowerment. And at the very beginning, I would like to give a disclaimer. It's already on the screen. That since feminism and women empowerment is a very diverse field, this presentation is very limited, and I just gathered some points to associate the student community about and make the student community aware about feminism and women empowerment. I'm sure all of you already know what it is. You have some idea about it. And I recommend those who are interested in this topic, please go ahead and read more books. And as I've already told in the beginning, that I'm not an expert in this field, and I've just some materials from various sources, and this presentation is very limited, okay? So getting on to feminism. So first I'm going to explain what is feminism, and then I'm going to go over into the brief history of feminism, and then the Indian context. I'm going to talk about the Indian context, okay? So what exactly is feminism? So it is a theory. Actually, basically, feminism is a theory that suggests that, you know, the society does not treat men and women equally. And feminism, the term feminism became popular in the 1960s and in the 1970s worldwide. Okay, though there were women movements even before, much before, like the suffragette movement, the movement for the right to voting, and several other women movements. but only in the 1960s and 70s it became very popular worldwide. Okay, so keeping this, inequality in mind, feminists, they are concerned about, how women are exploited due to sexism. Okay, so the feminist focus is on patriarchy and sexism. So now, what is patriarchy? It is the power structure of the society. Okay, it is the power structure of the society where men are dominant. Okay, and what is sexism? The notion that people of one particular sex or gender are superior to the others. Okay, so that is what we mean by sexism. So patriarchy and sexism, these are the two focal points, okay, of feminists. Now, there are a lot of myths about feminism. So if I call myself a feminist, I'm not a feminist, but if I choose to call myself a feminist, the reaction in this society, in our society, usually is, I'm a hater of men. Okay, but that is a misconception. Feminists do not hate men. So there, I've presented three terms on the screen. One is misogynist, the other is misandrist, and the third one is feminist. So misogynists are men who hate women, okay? And misandrists are women who hate men, okay? And the third term is feminist. So feminists are people, I'm calling people, not women or men, people who seek equality between men and women. So feminists are not misandrists. That is a misconception. Feminists do not hate men. All right. Feminists want equality. And it is not necessary that only a woman has to be a feminist. Men can be also feminists. If you believe in the rights of women, if you're fighting for the rights of women, then you are a feminist. A man can do that. And if you look up the history of feminism, there were many men, writers and philosophers like John Stuart Mill and Frederick Engels. They wrote a lot about women's rights. All right. So we should do away with this myth or this misconception about feminists. Feminists are not misandrists. Feminists do not hate men. So why is my screen? Okay. I won't, I won't expand the screen, so sometimes it doesn't move forward. Is it all right?
Ma'am, it's okay. Like we can say
it's okay. I think everyone is using the phone or the laptop, so there's no problem because sometimes it just gets stuck. All right. Okay. So the next point is that can anyone? Yes. Can you hear? Yes.
Just press F5.
Yes, ma'am.
No, it's not working. No, then it is okay.
Okay. So I'm audible, and I'm not doing full screen. Okay, I'm not doing full screen.
Okay, ma'am. It's okay.
Okay. Okay. So now, can anyone be a feminist? The next point. Yes, I already told you just now. Anyone can be a feminist. Anyone who believes in equal rights can be a feminist. Okay, so it's not about only women. And if you are a feminist, you don't have to do away with your womanhood. Another misconception is that feminists are not at all feminine. They don't like womanhood. That's not true. You don't have to do away with your womanhood. You can be a complete woman even if you are a feminist. Okay, feminists only fight or believe in equal rights between between the two genders. All right. Okay. So now the next point about feminism that we should all know, which is very relevant to the contemporary times, is the term intersectional feminism, because we are in the 21st century. What was dealt about feminism in the 20th century, or how it began in the 19th century, is not the same today. Okay, so we deal with intersectional feminism. So what is intersectional feminism? It means that it is feminism today is about the diverse experiences of women. Women with different identities, women with different knowledge and capabilities, women from different economic background, okay, women from the rural areas, from the urban areas, from the west, from the east, from the north, all over the globe. Okay, so intersectional feminism deals with problems of women specifically from specific areas, communities, and sections. Okay, so, and intersectional feminism does not always deal with sexism. It also deals with racism, then homophobia, transphobia, about religious persecutions. So intersectional feminism, deals with diverse range of the topic, and intersectional means from different sections of the community. Okay, so different race, age, class, socio-economic status, all over the globe. So there is no discrimination that my experience is more important or my suffering is more important than someone else. Intersectional feminism deals with specific problems. So the problems about my right, the problem that I have as a woman from an educated upper class background is not the same what my house help deals with. Her problems are different. Okay, so those are also important, and when we go to deal about her problem, we will handle it in a different way. So that is what is intersectional feminism is all about. Okay. So now we'll go to the brief history of feminist movement, because without knowing the history, it is not worth, we should know how it began. So very briefly, I've put it together. It's not so brief, how history is, but I've just, put the most important points. So, the term feminist was first used in France and Netherlands in 1872. And, but, in 18th and 19th century, philosophers and writers, poets, writers like Condorcet and Mary Wollstonecraft, they have written immensely on the plight of women, okay, on women's rights and the plight of women. And in America, there were some journalists, like Martineau and Cobb in Britain and Margaret Fuller in America. So basically, in the USA and the UK, there were a group of journalists, female journalists, who made other women aware that even women could take up journalism as their profession. So at that time, journalism was not a respect for a woman. But these journalists from the US and the UK, they made other women aware that it was right for women also to work as a journalist. And then by the middle of the 19th century, women started getting educated in London. Okay, so women started gradually becoming educated. And then the last point is very important, that these acts, the Ladies National Association for the Repeal of the Contagious Diseases Acts. Okay, so there was a act, the Contagious Disease Act of 1864, Just a minute. Okay. So the Contagious Diseases Act in 1864. So some feminists, some movementeers, women movementeers, they wanted this act to be withdrawn. Okay, that is why repeal of the Contagious Diseases Acts. Repeal means withdrawal. So there was this Contagious Diseases Act in 1864 that required women who were suspected to be prostitutes to surrender and then undergo medical examination for venereal diseases. All right. And when these women were detected of venereal diseases means sexually transmitted diseases, they were quarantined in hospitals, which were actually jails. Okay, so they would be quarantined first for 3 months, and then their quarantine period would be extended up to 1 or 2 years. So they were being prostitutes, and they were caught, they were tested, and most of them, if they were proven, if they tested positive for sexually transmitted diseases, then
Extremely sorry for the inconvenience. Ma'am will join in a minute. I would like to request everyone to be patient. Ma'am will join in a minute.
I'm really sorry, the link just got disconnected. So
It's okay, ma'am.
Okay. So the screen, is the screen visible?
Ma'am, you are visible. You might not have shared the screen.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. It is.
Okay. So I was talking about the Contagious Diseases Act. So now what is the problem? Why did feminists like Josephine Butler, they were fighting withdrawal of this act? Her point, and other feminists who worked with her, their point was that women were first suspected as prostitutes, okay, and then they were suspected, right? The word suspected is very important. And during those times, population, sexual transmissions were very so. Women were only tested, and the clients, if these women were prostitutes, the clients, which were men, they were never tested. Okay, they were never quarantined. So this was the problem, that the feminists pointed out, like feminists like Josephine Butler, and so they, started protesting in order to withdraw this Contagious Diseases Act. And then after that, we also have the Married Women's Property Act. This also was, demanded by the feminists, because at that time, English women could not hold independent properties. Okay, when a woman got married, she had to surrender all her property to her husband, and in the case of her husband's death, the wife, the widow, could not hold the property independently. It used to go to some other male member. Okay, so the feminists of those times, they started fighting for these these rights of women. Okay. So then you see what happened in 1913. Suffrage was very important because women did not have the right to vote. Okay, and then ultimately, due to the movements and due to the mass rally, women in the US were granted the right to vote in 1920. And then gradually, the change was coming. During the First World War and Second World War, men were out fighting. They left their homes. They would not return home for 3 months, 4 months, 1 year. And women used to take care of the households. And then they gradually started going out and working, okay, for a living, because they ran out of money. The men would not come home. So gradually women started, going out and working. So you can see the gradual change. So then we can look at this feminist movement in different phases. It is very important to understand the different phases of the periods that we call the first wave, the second wave, the third wave, and the fourth wave. Okay, so what is the when do we demarcate the first wave? The first wave is demarcated with the Seneca Falls Convention in New York. All right, the Seneca Falls Convention in New York, where 68 women and 32 men they attended. Not a very a big number, but not only women but men also attended that convention in New York, and they signed in that convention. They signed that convention, which declared the rights and sentiments of women. All right, so that is the demarcation of the first wave of feminism. So it began in July 1848. That is 19th century, from 1848, and it continued till 1920. So from 1848 to 1920 is called the first wave feminism. Okay. Then the second wave comes from 1960s to 1980s. Okay. So from 1920 to 1960, there was a lull. There was a lull, means everything went silent because of the world wars. So the second wave again came up from 1960s. Now it is a bit different from the first wave. Okay, the first wave dealt with middle class white women. Now, what is cisgender? It is a very relevant term today that we should know. Because the LGBTQ rights are dominant nowadays. So cisgender means a woman or a man. It could be a man or a woman. Here I'm talking about a man, a woman who is a cisgender woman. Like I'm a cisgender woman. So my identity and my birth sex is same. Okay. My birth sex is female and my identity is also female. So I'm a cisgender woman. So my identity and my birth sex is same. So nowadays, that, a man or a woman might not be cisgender. A person might be born as a man, but his identity might not be that of a man. Okay. So that is what so in, in ordinary terms, we call straight. Okay. A straight woman. So the first wave was handled or, triggered by white women who were cisgendered and who came from the middle class. Now, the second wave was not so. The second wave, was slightly different in the fact that there are now more women from different communities, from different races, women of color. They were coming out and they were, speaking out about their struggle, the struggle that they face in society. So now it was the second wave was no longer the fight of the white cisgender woman. Okay, so it was getting bigger slowly. The feminist movement was getting bigger. Then coming to the third wave, the third wave is from the 1990s to 2008. So the third wave is even more diverse. Okay, the third wave is even more diverse, and now this includes homosexuality, okay, and also non-white women. So the LGBTQ community is also included within the third wave feminism. And the third wave is also about, very iconoclastic, that is breaking the image of role expectations and stereotypes. Now, what is gender role expectations and stereotypes? The perception that a woman should know to cook, that a woman should know to, look after the family, should know to stitch, should be gentle, a woman should not laugh loudly, a woman should not, be very open about her feelings. So these are all stereotypes. So women now came out, non-white women, women from all communities, and they wanted to do away with these expectations and stereotypes. I'm not telling that women should not know how to cook, but it should not be a stereotype. Men should also know how to cook. Men should also know how to look after babies. Men should also know how to, stitch their own buttons. Okay, so just like a woman can, go out and do all the work that a man can do, a man should also know. So there should be no stereotypes. Everyone should be able to do everything. Okay, so the third wave was about breaking these stereotypes. Now, the fourth wave. Okay, so the fourth wave. Now, the fourth wave is from 2008 onwards. Okay, the fourth wave is considered from 2008 onwards, and this wave is supported by technology and by social media. So we all know about the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement. Okay, the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement. So the fourth wave, is very techno savvy, and considering these hashtags Me Too and Time's Up, we all know that the Me Too movement was introduced on Twitter in 2007, and social media. It is social media activism that made people aware. Okay, so this wave, the fourth wave feminism, is also about intersectionality. Okay, so this fourth wave is a very big wave. It's a new wave, and it is much more complex. It is much more complex than the first wave or the second wave. So it encompasses many movements, all micro movements within this macro movement. Okay, and it is very diverse, and there are a variety of voices here. So it is the fourth wave that we are living through now, right now, from 2008 onwards is the fourth wave, and it's a very complex wave. Now, we will move over to empowerment. What is empowerment? So, empowering basically means giving power, rendering power. So, women empowerment, it promotes women's rights. And it has emerged as a part of a major global movement. And it is continuing to break grounds in recent years. Okay. And so days like International Women's Day, these are, gaining momentum. Everyone knows about International Women's Day. So why is this celebrated? To make everyone aware about the power of women. Okay. But, despite all these progress, women and girls, continue to face so much of discrimination and violence in every part of the world. Okay, so that is why we must be more aware about empowerment of women. So, empowering women is very essential. Why it is essential? It is essential to the health and social development of families, communities, and countries. So, if you do not empower women, if women, do not develop, the society will not develop. And today, women empowerment has been categorized in 5 different aspects, okay, according to 5 different aspects. So what are they? What are the 5 aspects of empowerment? Social, educational, economic, political, and psychological. So these are the 5 aspects of women empowerment. So as I told you that women empowerment is a worldwide phenomenon. So the United Nations also, along with the United Nations Women Wing, have created the 7 principles of women empowerment. Okay, so on what aspects should women be empowered? So there are 7 principles. So first, women should be trained to become corporate leaders. So if you look at the corporate world, you will find very few women leaders. So, women should be empowered to train them into becoming leaders in the corporate world. Then, the second principle is that there shouldn't be any discrimination. Women should be considered as humans first. Okay, therefore, they should be able to allow all the rights of a human being. So there should be no discrimination. All right. And then the third principle is that the health, the well-being and safety of women and all workers, whether male or female, should be ensured. So even women workers must be ensured of their well-being and safety, and health must be taken care of. Then the fourth principle is to promote education, training, and professional development. So women must be educated, the right to education. They must be trained for any vocational training, and they should receive professional development. All right, so that they can become, economically, financially independent. Then the fifth principle is to make women entrepreneurs. Okay. Due to this fifth principle, the entrepreneurship of women, you can today see many women from rural areas running business, small scale or large scale businesses. So it is one of the principles of the United Nations that women should be encouraged to, become entrepreneurs right from supply chain. From supply chain means acquiring the raw materials to production, and then distribution. Women should be trained to become entrepreneurs. And then the sixth principle is to champion equality. Champion equality means everyone should, not only women feminists, all men and women should champion equality. All members of society must, fight this equality between men and women. It's not only about women, it's also about men. Okay, so everyone must champion equality. And the last principle is that everything should be made public. Whatever progress has been made of women's rights should be on the public domain. It must be made public so that people become more aware. If you put it on the public domain, then only people who are unaware will become aware. Okay, so you have to pass on the word. The word must go on. And how do you do it? If you put it on the public domain. Okay. So now that was till this point. We were talking about, when. So what, how began, so on and so forth. So now, this today's talk will become irrelevant or will remain incomplete if I do not talk about the scenario in our own country. Okay, so I'm going to now talk from the perspective of India, our own country. So now, what is happening to women's movement in India? So some of the women feminists of our country, like Urvashi Butalia, Ritu Menon, and Kamala Bhasin, they have written extensively on the absence of the women's voice in our country. Okay. From times immemorial, from the pre-independent period, we do not get to hear about women. Okay, women's voices have been suppressed in our country. Why? Because history is patriarchal. History is male-dominated. All right, even though women were always there, they were out, up front, but they have not been represented enough in history. All right. And we know from books, from history, from the chronicles, we know that women were not given equal opportunity to receive education. Okay. And their voices have not been recorded. Their voices have not been recorded in Indian chronicles, in the history textbooks. Why? Because it is taken for granted that history is gender-based, has been dominated by men. All right, that is why the women's voices have been excluded. However, I found some exceptional women. Okay. I came across, when I was, looking for materials for this presentation, I came across some exceptional women who were very different, who were very bold and, very aware about their rights, even in the 19th century. So I have noted down 4 such women. The first woman is called Rasasundari Devi. Okay. So she was a housewife in Bengal, and she has also written her own autobiography, okay, in Bengali, and it is called Amar Jibon, and it means my life. And though she has never received any formal education, she was a self-taught woman, and she wrote passionately in her autobiography, all the problems that she underwent and about the general condition of women during her times. Okay, and through this book, she made a secret plea to the society, to look more equally towards, to consider women as equals of men. Okay, this is her plea in this book. Then we have another woman called Swarna Kumari Devi. She is the sister of Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, but we haven't heard much of her because likely for the reason that she was a woman. But, she was a very progressive lady, and she formed the Theosophical Society for Women, and she was associated with Annie Besant. Okay, and we all know about Annie Besant. She was an Indian nationalist, though she was British, but she was an Indian nationalist. Okay, and Swarna Kumari Devi, she was she started, training in sword fighting and the lathi fighting early 1900s. Okay, so she was a very very progressive woman, though we don't hear about her. We only hear about her brother Tagore, but we don't hear about her. But she was a very she was a very renowned woman of her times, but it remains unrecorded. Okay, then there is another woman called Pandita Ramabai. So, her father was a very unconventional social reformer, and he started educating his own wife at home. Okay, Lakshmi Bai was his own wife, and in the 18th century itself, he started educating his own wife in Sanskrit, and later on, Lakshmi Bai, Pandita Ramabai's mother, taught her Sanskrit by taking her to the jungle, because in those days it was not allowed. Women were not allowed to learn Sanskrit. It was considered that men were only men had the right to learn Sanskrit. So her mother Lakshmi Bai, who was tutored by her husband, so Lakshmi Bai took Ramabai to the jungle and taught her Sanskrit, and later on she became a Pandita. Okay, she became a lady Pandit, and she wrote this book, The High Caste Hindu Woman, and this book is about women's oppressions, religion, and colonialism. And then we also have another woman, Begum of Bhopal. So she also fought for women's oppression and polygamy. Polygamy, all of you know. I hope you know what is polygamy. Polygamy means the custom of having many spouses. Okay, many Indian communities have this custom of having more than one spouse. It may be either a man or a woman. So a man might have many wives, or a woman might have many husbands. So that is polygamy. This is not a okay. This is not a good practice. So the Begum of Bhopal, her main agenda was women's education and fighting polygamy. All right. Okay. All right. Then we'll look at the women's organizations. Quickly, we'll look at the women's organizations that formed in pre-independent India, just to make you understand that women were, slowly becoming active about their rights by forming organizations. So these were the organizations in 1917. The All India Women's Conference. This was formed by a woman called Margaret Cousins. So she was a British woman, okay, but she was quite involved. She stayed in India, and she was quite involved with the women's rights in India. So this was formed, and then later on, the National Council of Women was founded by Lady Tata and Lady Aberdeen in 1925. So Lady Tata, another, the original, feminist icon of India. She was the wife of Dorabji Tata, okay, Jamshedji Tata's daughter-in-law. All right, the Tata group of companies that we now know. So she is the daughter-in-law of Jamshedji Tata. And so she's the, first icon of Indian feminist. So they formed, along with Lady Aberdeen, she formed this National Council of Women. And then the Women's Indian Association also emerged from All India Women's Conference. Okay, so all these, these women, they were all connected to the suffragette movement in Britain. Okay, so Britain, the British Parliament gave women the right to vote only in 1928. So all these women were associated with the British suffragette movement. Okay, and so at the same time they were also fighting for women's rights in India. Okay. Then in India, in the pre-independent period, we were made to feel, people were made to feel that only men were, championing women's issues. Because if you look at the, women's issues of those times, like the condition of widows, there were many young women who became widows because women were forced to go for child marriage. They were married off to older men, so they became widows very early in their life. Then about there were issues about polygamy. What do we know about the social reformers? Do we hear about any woman social reformer? No. We hear about people like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Dayanand Saraswati, M.G. Ranade. So, we were made to feel that men were the champions of women's issues. Okay. So everything was very male dominated, everything was very patriarchal, and it was all about, politics. All right, it was all, this is very political if you look at it. Just, the politics of suppressing the voices of women. So we were made to believe that only men could save women. Women couldn't take care of their own issues. So we, in the pre-independent period, we were made to feel like that. However, in Jawaharlal Nehru's discovery of India, there is something very encouraging of what, Nehru quotes there in his book, Discovery of India. So he acknowledges the role of women in this book. Okay, he acknowledges women in the struggle for independence. So you can see what he talks here. Okay, what he quotes here. He acknowledges that women came out of their houses and they, like avalanches, they took part in the struggle for independence. Okay, so women of all classes, women of all communities, from different economic background, they all came out and took part in India's struggle for independence. So finally, someone was at least acknowledging the contribution of women. Okay, so we must understand that women were always there. Women were always there. Even in the pre-independence period also, women were there. The only problem is that their presence have been neglected, overlooked, they have not been recorded. But women have always been, part of the society. They have always taken part in everything. Okay. Then Now we'll look at the scenario post-independent India. Okay, so after independence, for 20 years, there was a lull in women's movement. Okay, from 1947 onwards till 1970s, till 1969, around roughly 20 years, there was a lull in women's movements. Okay, there was no, discussion about women's movements. Why? Because of this particular, Article 14 and 16. The Constitution of India introduced this, Articles 14 and 16, which said that all citizens will be guaranteed equality. All right, all citizens will be guaranteed equality. All right. Therefore, irrespective of caste, creed, or gender. So there is no need for a separate movement for women. Okay, since the Constitution had already guaranteed equality of all citizens. All right. So for 20 years there was no no hint of women's movements. But then from 1970s, again, it resurfaced. Women's movements resurfaced with these, the Shahada agitation. This is Shahada is a place in Maharashtra, and there was a agitation due to exploitation of the landlords. Okay, the landlords were exploiting the tribal women. The two Bhil women triggered the Shahada agitation, and then this Sangathan, the Shramik Sangathan, was formed in 1970 to take care of the exploitation of the workers, the laborers, especially the landless laborers, and especially women. Okay, because the rich landlords were exploiting these poor tribal women. All right. Then in 1972, again in Gujarat, led by Ila Bhatt, the Self-Employed Women's Association was created. Okay, it was a trade union movement for women, for the rights of working women. And then in 1974 in Hyderabad, the Progressive Organization of Women was formed. Okay, to take care of the oppression of women in society. Okay, so all these things were all created in the 1970s. So from the 1970s, women's movement again, gained momentum. Then, so that was about the 1970s. Then, and now, the United Nations was also taking care of the women's issues, and the United Nations declares the decade 1975 to 85 as the International Decade of the Woman, and the World Conference on Women in Mexico was organized in 1975. Okay. So, and in India, the National Committee on the Status of Women had been formed, and it started looking into the oppression of women in India. And this committee formed a report, towards equality report. So this was, this report was made in 1974, and this particular report, towards equality report, is a landmark in women's movement in India. Okay, and this report revealed the deplorable condition of women in our country. Okay, and it highlighted issues as dowry, then bigamy and child marriage. Okay. So dowry, we all know. We all know what dowry is. We know what child marriage is. So we need to understand polygamy and bigamy. Polygamy, that in India and in many countries around the world has customs of having more than one spouse. Okay. this is a custom, the social custom in India as well as in many countries around the world. So that is, accepted since it's a social custom. But bigamy is something slightly dangerous. Bigamy means having another spouse without terminating your previous marriage, okay? Or without the knowledge of your first spouse, you secretly get married to another without having a legal separation. So that is bigamy. So that is a criminal offense. Okay, so women in India were victimized due to polygamy and bigamy. Okay, so the report found all these problems. Women were oppressed due to all these issues: dowry, polygamy, bigamy, and child marriage. Okay. So then after 1975, many autonomous women's organizations were formed, okay, because the United Nations was also supporting the, the developing countries, because if the United Nations does not take care of the women communities of the developing countries, these countries cannot develop in the right sense of the term, okay. So so all these organizations and forums were created. This one, the Forum Against Rape, which was later called Forum Against Oppression of Women, this was due to something that happened in 1972. Okay, the famous Mathura rape case. Mathura rape case means a young girl, a minor girl called Mathura. She was raped by, she was also a Bhil girl, a minor Bhil girl. She was around 14 years old. She was called Mathura. She was, raped by two policemen inside the police station. So this created a furor in the country, and then this, this forum was created to take care of rape victims. All right. Then, another famous issue was that of sati. So in 1987, there was a very, big agenda about this immolation, Roop Kaur's immolation. A woman from Deorala district in Rajasthan, she committed sati in 1987. She was an 18-year-old woman who was married to, a man called Mal Singh Shekhawat. So this husband was 24 years old, and the day after he died, Roop Kaur was, forced by her community to commit sati. Okay. And this sati, this immolation, was witnessed by hundreds and thousands of people of that particular community from nearby villages. People came from nearby villages, and she was declared Sati Mata. Why people came to witness this immolation? Because they thought that sati was something very virtuous. So she was declared Sati Mata. But this was criticized. This immolation of Roop Kaur was criticized by the people in the urban centers, in the cities. People protested that sati has already been banned. So why should a woman sacrifice her life just because her husband had died? Okay, so these are some burning issues of those times. And then the Muslim Women's Bill was also, issued in 1986. So it dealt with the rights of divorced Muslim women's inheritance right. Okay, this bill was introduced by the Rajiv Gandhi government. So this was also a very important, very, this was a burning issue at that time. Okay, so So we see that, intersectionality is coming in here. Okay. During this period, we can see very clearly that intersectionality is, a focal point here, because women from different communities were involved, and the issues of people from different communities of India were being addressed. So intersectionality is coming in here at this point. Then we will come to women's studies. All right. So slowly we are moving towards the present times. Based on the Towards Equality report of 1974, the government finally decides that micro study centers should be introduced in India. Okay, micro study centers on women should be introduced. So see, all these positive changes were slowly coming in. So it is Towards Equality report that makes the government think that micro study centers all over the country should be introduced. So where should this micro study centers be? It must be in the highest seat of learning in our country. And what is the highest seat of learning? The universities. Okay, so in 1975, the women's studies centers were introduced in some universities of India, not all, the major universities in India, 1975. Okay. But from 2010 onwards, it has become compulsory to introduce women's studies centers in universities. So now in every university of our country, we have the Women's Studies Center. Why do we need Women's Studies Center? To make the educated generation aware of women's rights. Okay, so men and women, not only women, both men and women should be sensitized about gender issues, and men should also be involved in this process of change. Okay, women are just 50% of our society, so men should also be involved in this process of change. So women's studies centers should be introduced, and therefore it has been introduced in the universities nationwide. All over the country now we have Women's Studies Center. So this is indeed a very positive step for women's movement in India. Then the relationship of law and empowerment in our country. What kind of relationship does law have with empowerment? I do not say that the relationship of law is very bright with empowerment, because it is very ambivalent in nature. The judiciary in India is very slow. A lot of bills have been introduced, but I don't see those bills coming into effect. And only in 2005, the prohibition of prenatal diagnostic tests, that is, testing the sex of the unborn baby, has been banned only in 2005. And also the Domestic Violence Act of 2000 has been introduced only in 2005. Okay, so the Indian judiciary is very slow in the acts. Okay, so I don't see, though law protects women in our country, but it is very, very slow and very ambivalent. It is very dual in nature. Okay, there are a lot of loopholes. So anyway, there has been some amendments in the constitution. Okay, reserving the seats, 3% of seats in panchayat and nagar palikas, that has been done. But the constitution bill of 2010, which demands 1/3 reservation of seats in the upper and lower houses in the parliament, has still not become effective. The bill has been passed, but it is yet to be implemented. So, okay, so this is the state of law. Okay, it is a very sweet and bitter relationship with empowerment. Okay, in my view, it is of a very ambivalent nature. So quickly, so what is the present scenario now? What is the present scenario of women's movement in India? So you can see that, women's struggle today and in the past have always been about women's specific needs and concerns. And none of the issues of women's movements in the 1970s and 80s have been overlooked in the present. They are very much there in our society today, and women's movement today deal with all those issues even today. It has not been wiped off. The problems that were present in the 70s and 80s is very much there in our society today. And women's movement began with a few exceptional women. I told you about Rasa Sundari, Swarna Kumari, the Begum of Bhopal. So it began with those exceptional women. But today, uncountable women are involved in this, movement. Many, you cannot point out one or two, many women are involved in this women's movements today, and we are sharing our experiences with one another to make everyone aware of the, oppressions of women. So the number of such exceptional women is increasing gradually, and it has now, become quite impossible to list the contributors, okay, of the movement years today. You cannot pinpoint anyone. Everyone, each and everyone is involved with women's movements in some way or the other. And I would say not only educated women, women from rural India, women who are illiterate, everyone has been made aware about women's rights today. I think the present scenario is quite positive, okay? And so I think that gender equality is a basic human right. And it's fundamental to have, a peaceful and prosperous world only if women are treated equally, okay? And women's empowerment, why do we need empowerment? It is about the self-esteem of women, right? And, it is for women to exist with self-esteem in our society, in the society. We need to survive with our self-esteem. We don't want to be looked down upon, considered as, someone inferior. So empowering women means to give women the right, and to make women feel that they are also capable, okay? And they have the equal right to participate in education, in society. They can contribute in the economic, well-being of the country, and politically also. Women can very much be a part of politics. Okay, so women can get involved in every aspect of the society, and they are free to choose whatever they wish to. Now the option is in their hand, okay? So that is why we need empowerment, and we need women to be aware that they are capable of everything that men can do. So we are equally powerful as men, all right? So with this, I conclude my talk. So I conclude with this quotation by Malala Yousafzai. I raise up my voice, not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. Okay? So with this, I want to conclude this talk to think about this quote today. And I would also like to share this particular helpline number, which has been launched recently on the 27th of July 2021. So the National Commission for Women have launched this helpline number, for women in distress. So I want to note down this number and share this with as many women as you can, so that if any woman is in distress, they can quickly call this number. Okay. So with this, I stop today's, topic. I conclude this topic, and I'll close the screen now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your valuable words, and I am 130% sure all the people will be very, very happy to know what actually feminism means and the history of feminism. We have a lot of questions, maybe more than 50 questions we have here.
Okay.
So I think we will not able to cover all of them, but we're going to start with few of the questions. Starting with, there's a question that due to the many policies, rules prevailing in the society, women are greatly affected. What can we do to stop our ancient policy rules?
It is about the ancient, what is it? Ancient policy rule.
Yes, ma'am. It's about the ancient policy rule.
What is this ancient policy rule? I mean,
ma'am, maybe she wants to talk about that. Even in the menstruation hygiene, there are so many taboos in the society.
Yes.
So, which is affecting our own identities, like don't touch the achar ka bani when you are on periods. Those taboos prevailing in the society. So maybe she wants to know about it. How can we overcome about it?
Yeah. You must be the first one to break such rules. You must have the guts to break such rules. And what I believe is that you must never accept any custom without questioning it. When these rules were made, medical science was not very developed. There were no sanitary pads, all right? There were no, menstrual cups, tampons and such things. So, that is why women were isolated in the ancient times, because it was very inconvenient. But today I don't see any, today I don't see any logic behind, isolating a woman just because she's menstruating. So what we can do, just be the one to break the rule. You must be the one to break the rule. You must make, and I've always noticed that it is always the female members of the family who make the young girl, follow such rules. Okay, so you must try to make your mothers and your grandparents and your aunts understand that these are just taboos and these are just superstitions. Okay, so you have to be the change. No one can change. You have to be the change.
Ma'am, there's another question. This is isn't it important that people be more aware of those transgender women and also the male transgenders who are actually biologically female? I'll read the question once again, ma'am.
Yeah, please read it slowly.
Isn't it important that people be more aware of those transgender women and also the male transgender?
For happiness or something. I can't recall the entire name. Okay, the latest book, Arundhati Roy has written only 2 books. The God of Small Things, the second book. You must read this book. That tells you the story of a transgender. So, by reading only you can become aware. So, and everyone must be made aware about, the LGBTQ community.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question which is why people consider the woman by their beauty, not by their strength and work. Why people appreciate their beauty but not their work. Even in the maybe Olympics, there was a very controversy regarding the way of women dress up, and it's they focus on the sexism part of the game and not on the game. So there was a very difficult question about that.
Okay. Yes, this is something that I don't like at all. Okay, don't like at all. The moment I have faced this problem a lot. People assess me with my attire, or maybe with the color of my lipstick. I'm wearing a lipstick because I choose to wear a lipstick. I can choose not to wear a lipstick. I can choose not to dress the way I want. So yes, a woman's intellect is always undermined because of her external appearance.
Yes, ma'am.
So it is very difficult for a good looking woman if she is intelligent,
Yes, ma'am.
because her intelligence is never considered equally as her beauty.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if a woman is beautiful and intelligent, her intelligence is always undermined. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is something wrong, and please learn to project yourselves, and
Yes, ma'am.
don't project yourself as a dumb doll. Don't
ma'am.
project yourself as a dumb doll, and don't encourage comments like "you're looking so pretty," "you're looking so pretty," this and that. Well, we never comment such things about our male colleagues. So these are certain things that we should always keep in mind.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a very relatable question by Rashmita Gogoi. It's about how do you think media, not social media, but Indian television, what the Indian and cinema affect the minds of young boys and girls, where women are mostly shown as a very submissive and self-sacrificing, and these shows also support bigamy and glorifies abuse. What are your views about it?
Yes, but recently there have been very good movies that Bollywood has come up with. But largely, yes, largely, there are a lot of stupid movies where women are projected as submissive, and especially if you look at the movies of the 80s and the 90s, not 80s, especially 90s, where women always play the second lead. Women are just love interests. They have no voice, and always the good daughter-in-law, the good wife, the good daughter. So these are creating stereotypes in our society. Okay, and men and women are influenced by the adults are influenced by such conceptions that a woman has to be like this, a particular notion about the daughter-in-law, particular notion about the daughter. So, but I think today, after 2000, many sensible movies have been made, which are women-centric, and today women are playing the lead in the movies.
Yes,
A lot of women-centric movies, and about women's issues. So women are no longer running around trees and singing. Okay.
Sorry, extremely sorry for that. Ma'am, there's another question. Today, in the era of internet, we have become more aware about the importance of women's rights, especially in India, after the post-colonial hangover. Women are more aware of their capabilities and confident about expressing their opinions. How do we fine line between feminism and misandry? How do we tackle this communication?
No, there is no overlapping between feminism and misandry. I already told you. This is a misconception. Okay? So feminists are not haters of, men. Anyone who champions women's rights is a feminist. So in that sense, even I'm a feminist.
Yes,
all right. So this is a misconception. Right in the beginning of my presentation, I already pointed out that misandry has nothing to do with feminism. Okay, it has nothing to do with feminist movement. There are misogynists also. Okay, haters of women. So there are particular sections of men and women who do not like the other sex, and that happens due to some personal experiences. Okay, they might have faced some, trauma in their childhood, which leads to, hating the other sex. That is something very different. That is a psychological state of their mind. It has nothing to do with feminism. Feminism is only about women's rights. So if I'm concerned about women's rights, then I'm a feminist. If my son is concerned about, or if my husband is concerned about women's rights, they are also feminists to a certain point. And if I'm a feminist, I'm not a hater of men. I'm always concerned. Personally, I'm concerned about women's rights. That doesn't make me a hater of men because I live with men. Okay. I have male friends. So please don't confuse misandry and feminism.
Ma'am, there's a question about sexual abuse. Why are sexual abusing increasing in the society even if there are many awareness going on?
So this is a very, no, I think sexual abuse has already been there, has always been there.
Yes, ma'am.
Now we are getting to hear about it because of social media, due to technology. We are becoming aware. We are getting to know instantly about any, sexual abuse. But I think that it is recorded today. It is accounted today. That is why we think that there is a lot of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse has already been there, even in the pre-independence era, during the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. But the only thing is that we get to hear about it is because of the awareness, because of the awareness. We are speaking out about sexual abuse. Earlier also, sexual abuse was there, but people did not speak openly about it.
Yes,
okay.
Ma'am, I have a question about this. Like nowadays, like I have seen it, like mainly women are against women. Like if you can say, like even our serials or whatever in the society, like if we are asked to do, men never comes and says that don't do it. It's always a woman who says that do the parda or don't do this. Like, so why women never support another woman? Like, is there some stereotype which is going on?
Yeah, that's true. You're true. But it's not that women don't support other women. There are some women who are against. It's a tradition. It's a tradition. If you just look at the kind of Hindi serials that, if the mother-in-law has suffered, so she wants to avenge. So she becomes very vindictive towards her daughter-in-law. So it's something like, it's a vicious cycle that is going on, and we need to break that cycle. Educated women need to break this vicious cycle, okay, of targeting other women. And yes, we never support other women, regarding anything. It is always our mothers and aunts who raise their fingers against us. Yes, so what we can do is that we should not become those kind of mothers and mother-in-laws.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, another question is there. Like, there is a question about feminism or the fake feminism, which is nowadays becoming very famous. The fake feminism. So, what's your point of view regarding fake feminism?
Fake feminism. I don't know what to say about fake feminism. The fake feminists are opportunists, I guess. Yeah. These are opportunists. That's why they fake feminism and they want to, take all the advantages. That's all, I think. These pseudo things are everywhere. Okay, pseudo feminism, they are not feminists actually, they are opportunists. They wait for the right moment to take the best opportunities. That's what I can say. But I have not encountered any fake feminist till date.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question. Why women are considered to, I think that's being tackled. The strength and... Is there any other questions? Let me just see. Ma'am, there's a question. Since Assam is in the 4th position in the case of women molestation, what might be the reason for this?
I don't know where you got this data, but I'm not sure also if this data is correct or not. Okay. Can you do you know which is the first in position? Which state is first in position? I don't know. I don't know if this data is correct or not. I have not heard. But you know, as I said, I don't know first or fourth or whatever. But if you want to stop this kind of attitude, you need to educate men. You need to involve men in these awareness about women movements. Okay, men need to get involved. Men need to get involved in this equally as women. Their mindset needs to be changed. Men must be taught. We must teach our sons not to look at women as objects. That's what I can say. I have to train my son not to look at women as objects. Okay. I think that we live in a very conventional society, in a very hypocritical society. We tend to hide women's bodies. That is why men are not at ease with women's bodies. We don't treat a woman's legs as just a body part. It's something else. But if you look at the West, they don't ogle. Now today, if a woman just wears a pair of shorts and goes outside, people will ogle at her. But in the West, it's not like that, because they are treated equally. Women's a pair of legs are just considered a part of her body, not as a sex object. Right? Okay.
And there's a question like, is it important to be financially, independent, to be empowered?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I'm telling you, I know of many women of my class who are suffering in their marriages. Okay, due to several issues. They have been cheated by their husbands, different kinds of oppression. So, for me, as a financially independent woman, I can say that, if this happens to me, I'll walk out of my marriage. I'll just leave my husband and walk out with my child. But for that woman who is not financially independent, where will she go? Where will she go? In our society, a woman is not accepted in her parents' household also after she is married. So that is why I think that women need to be financially independent. If you think you need to be empowered, if you want to be empowered, okay, if you want power, if you want to be equal to men, you have to be financially independent. Okay, that is the absolute requirement.
Ma'am, there is a question. What are the main difficulties faced by the people while working for women empowerment?
There are many difficulties. The first difficulty is that women don't think that they need to be empowered. Okay, women don't think, they don't realize. You and I understand. We are from the educated class. You and I understand. But when you go to, the rural areas, to the working class community, they don't even understand what is women empowerment. They think my house help. She tells me, she's an old woman. She tells me, that I used to be bitten by my husband. And I thought that I have to bear that. And I bore that. I never protested when he beat me up. See, she doesn't understand what her rights are. She thinks that, she takes it as a given, that it's right, it's okay for my husband to beat me, okay, to physically assault me. So that is the first hurdle, that women should realize that they are capable. They can be as powerful as men. So once that hurdle is gone, I think things will get quite easy.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, there's a question. We should talk more about female issues and things to men so that they get easy, like, about female, maybe some period or all that thing related to female body. but not
Yeah.
curious about them. But it become common and normal to men and accept the woman as she is, and women can be treated equally. Like, is that something like that? We should talk with people. There's a question like we should talk with men and mostly about all the curiosities they have regarding female body.
The female body. Yeah,
so
yeah.
that they
Yes.
don't have any
Yeah.
curiosity
Uh,
leaving.
Yes, exactly. And that is why, sex education is very important at a very early age in school, where, both girls and boys are, acquainted with the changes that the bodies are going through. And I think good schools already have that, girls and boys are oriented about their sexuality, the changes, but then it's a very slow process. Okay. Only elite schools have such kind of orientations. So yes, we need to talk more openly. We need to talk more openly so that both men and women become comfortable with each other's bodies.
Yes, ma'am. I think, ma'am, that's the end of the question. Okay, there's another question, ma'am. Like in Assam, like mostly we say that women are empowered. Like we don't treat like a girl baby infinity was not killed. They are given the full opportunity to study. But though the society has accepted the woman as or the girl as empowered or given the full opportunities, but they are facing some problems nowadays, like maybe sexual problems, and it is coming in a few maybe last 10 to 12, 15 years. Like it was not earlier. So what are the main reasons behind it?
Influence, I think. Influence, yes. When I was growing up, I feel Assam was a much safer place then.
Exactly. Yes.
But now, times are changing. Men are becoming more aggressive. So I think it is all about influence, the kind of thing young men are, watching, movies, then the influence of other cultures, of other states. I think it's all about influence. So we need to make our men more grounded in our own culture. Okay, if we do away with our culture, then I think it becomes quite dangerous for women to live in such a society. And women are also responsible to some extent. Women are also responsible. So young girls must be made aware about the difficulties. So technology, has its pros and cons. I think technology has also contributed a lot to all these issues, recent issues.
Ma'am, we can say like social media is affecting it a lot.
Yes, social media. So that is what I was talking about, influence, influencing the mind of the young people.
Even nowadays, girls are characterized by the
girls are
like the way they dress up, like or the like girls are like, if I'm wearing something, they are characterized as the way whatever I'm wearing, like
yes,
like judgment,
yes,
like the way I'm dressed up.
Yes, that's what the mindset need to be changed. I said that the mindset need to be changed. Don't judge a person by the external appearance, the kind of dress she's wearing. Just like we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, you should not judge a woman by her dresses. Okay, so we need to change the mindset, the way you look at a woman. I told you that if a woman is in a pair of shorts, you should not come to any kind of conclusion. Okay, so the mindset needs to be changed. Okay. Any more questions?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. That's the end of the questions. Now I would like to request Sabina Ba to take the forward questions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. আজি অনুষ্ঠানটোত অংশগ্ৰহণ আমি বহুত নজনা পালো, বহুতখিনি আমাৰ এই কনচেপ্টৰ ওপৰত আমাৰ যিখিনি ডাউটছ আছিলে বহুতখিনি আমাৰ আজি ক্লিয়াৰ হৈ গ'ল। থেংক ইউ ছ' মাচ। এতিয়া আমি অনুষ্ঠানটোৰ শেষৰ পৰ্যায়ত আহি উপনীত হৈছোহি। মই দ্য ইকুইনক্সৰ কো-ফাউণ্ডাৰ চাইড নিকিৰ দ্বাৰা শলাগৰ শৰাই আগবাঢ়িবলৈ অনুৰোধ কৰিলো। এইখিনিতে অংশগ্ৰহণকাৰী সকলোকে জনাই থওঁ যে ইতিমধ্যে চেট বক্সত ফিডবেক ফৰ্মৰ লিংকটো দিয়া হৈছে। অনুগ্ৰহ কৰি আপোনালোকে ফিডবেক ফৰ্মখন ফিল আপ কৰি ছাবমিট কৰাৰ লগে লগে চাৰ্টিফিকেটসমূহ পাবলৈ সক্ষম হ'ব। চাইদা, আপোনাক অনুৰোধ জনোৱা হ'ল।
পোনপ্ৰথমে সকলোলৈকে শুভ সন্ধিয়া। আজিৰ ৱেবিনাৰখনৰ সমল ব্যক্তি ঐতিহ্যমণ্ডিত গোলাঘাট দেৱৰাজ্য মহাবিদ্যালয়ৰ ইংৰাজী বিভাগৰ সহকাৰী অধ্যাপিকা শ্ৰদ্ধাৰ ডক্টৰ অনিন্দিতা দেমক মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। তেওঁ ব্যস্ততাপূৰ্ণ সূচীৰ মাজত আজি আমাৰ যিখন ৱেবিনাৰ আয়োজন কৰিছিলোঁ আমাৰ ইকুইনক্সৰ তৰফৰ পৰা, সেই ৱেবিনাৰখনত উপস্থিত থাকি তেওঁৰ জ্ঞানেৰে আমাক উদ্বুদ্ধ কৰাৰ বাবে মই তেওঁক ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আৰু তেওঁৰ ওচৰত চিৰকৃতজ্ঞ। দ্বিতীয়তে মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আমাৰ যিসকল মেম্বাৰ আছে তেওঁলোকে বহুত দুখ কষ্ট স্বীকাৰ কৰি আজিৰ এই অনুষ্ঠানটো সাফল্যমণ্ডিত কৰি তুলিবলৈ সক্ষম হৈছে। গতিকে তেওঁলোককো মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। পৰৱৰ্তী মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিব বিচাৰোঁ আমাৰ যিসকল আজি অংশগ্ৰহণকাৰী আছিল তেওঁলোকক মই ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিব বিচাৰোঁ, কাৰণ তেওঁলোকৰ অবিহনে আজিৰ এই অনুষ্ঠানটো আমি সাফল্যমণ্ডিত কৰি তুলিব নোৱাৰিলোহেঁতেন। গতিকে সকলোলৈকে মই পুনৰবাৰ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। বিশেষকৈ মই পুনৰবাৰ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ আমাৰ আজি অনুষ্ঠানটি উদ্বোধন কৰা শ্ৰদ্ধাৰ উমে মেমক। তেওঁৰ ব্যস্ততাপূৰ্ণ সূচীৰ মাজতো আমি আমন্ত্ৰণ কৰাৰ হেতুকে তেওঁ আমাৰ আমন্ত্ৰণ ৰক্ষা কৰি আমাক যি কৃতাৰ্থ কৰিলে তাৰ বাবে দুয়োগৰাকী সমল ব্যক্তিক মই পুনৰবাৰ ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰিছোঁ। আৰু সদুশেষত মই এটা কথা ক'ব বিচাৰোঁ, আমাৰ এই অনুষ্ঠানটো পৰৱৰ্তী সময়তো চলি থাকিব। আমাৰ ৱেবিনাৰৰ কাৰ্যসূচী পৰৱৰ্তী সময়তো চলি থাকিব। গতিকে ইয়াত থকা সকলোকে মই অনুৰোধ জনাইছোঁ যে পৰৱৰ্তী সময়তো আমাক এনেদৰেই আমাৰ লগত অংশগ্ৰহণ কৰি আমাক উদ্বুদ্ধ কৰিব বুলি মই সাফল্যমণ্ডিত কৰি তুলিব বুলি মই আশা ৰাখিলোঁ। আৰু যিহেতু অলৰেডি কৈছেই সাবিনাই যে আমাৰ ইয়াত এটা ফিডবেক লিংক দিয়া হৈছে আৰু সেই ফিডবেক লিংকটো আমাৰ চাট বক্সত দিয়া হৈছে। গতিকে যিসকল অংশগ্ৰহণকাৰী আছে তেওঁলোকে ফিডবেক লিংকটো পূৰাই দিলে তেওঁলোকে চাৰ্টিফিকেটসমূহ জেনেৰেট হ'ব। পুনৰবাৰ সকলোলৈকে ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপন কৰি আজি মই শলাগৰ হৰাই ইমানতে সমাপ্ত কৰিলোঁ। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us. Thank you, everyone,
And
for
thank
joining
you,
us.
everyone. Thank you, Equinox. Okay, I'm really pleased. So, bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
It was
you,
delightful to be with all of you. So,
Thank you,
bye-bye.
ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So much.